Alright, we are recording. I have not had the opportunity to play this game at all during the week. It's just been a busy week, from one thing to another, and some of it not even all that enjoyable. Well, isn't. Anyway, let's hit this and... Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna continue with this. I'm thinking, do I want to just make the new character and try the Forge Mastery? You know what? No, and here's why. I want a little bit of mindlessness at the moment. As I said, it's been a busy week. And I don't know if I necessarily want to commit to the new character going forward. And not to say I don't want to commit, but that I just don't feel like changing character yet. Because it would be I change and I come back. Let's get this guy further. Let's get this guy further. Yeah, teleport down here. Because remember, all I got to do for him is just more experience, which means just play. And also try to find more of the, Oh, I should have done that. These things. The charms. Also relics, but, one thing at a time. I think I saw the Game Awards was last night. Well, 2 nights ago for when this video is live. Yeah, I didn't watch it. It's been busy. Although I did see... Hang on just a second. Did it get press release about one thing? But I tend not to cover this kind of stuff. It looks like... Okay. Clay Obscure Expedition 33 got a thank you update for because devs were so happy about getting Game of the Year. Which, I've not played the game. Everything I've heard is that a lot of people were like, yes, this should get Game of the Year, so that's good. Let me just quickly see. It's a free update, so going to everyone. New playable environment. Takes the characters to Verso's drafts. New musical tracks. Apparently new challenging boss battles to overcome within the Endless Tower. Official photo mode. New text and... Okay. Some localization stuff. FSR4 support. And some quality of life improvements. So, I mean, good stuff, but... I tend not to cover announcements like that. Just, it's like, hey, they won more. It's like... I'm not entirely sure. I guess maybe because... It's also like why I don't cover when a game releases. I mean, when it's a, hey, it's gone to... it's exited early access, that I cover. But just a, oh, hey, the game went live today. It's like, I don't know, I kind of feel like if it's a game you're already interested in... If it's a game you're interested in, you'll already have seen that. Kind of thing. I mean, it's, I don't know, it's also been busy, didn't feel like writing that up. It's also, yeah, it's kind of an accolades thing as well. I don't like covering accolade stuff where it's like, hey, this game got 1 million sales. It's like, okay, that's cool. I don't really feel a need to put that in the news write-up. I understand it being a press release, but it's like, okay. Maybe it's just a me thing, though. I think anything else I can mention? I mean, there was nothing that was really a. Ooh, I should talk about this in the stream. I did see Relics mention that apparently Framework, and I'm playing on a Framework laptop. Remember, that's what I purchased. That apparently they have for future DIY laptop purchases, if you choose to purchase the RAM from them, they've raised the prices 50% because DRAM's going up in price. Well, okay, it's a little bit more. It is funny to me that both DRAM and also Flash, NAND Flash, are actually like made on the same machines by the same companies, so they only have so much capacity and they have to every year decide, okay, how much DRAM we're going to make, how much NAND Flash we're going to make. And right now, yeah, they're trying to make a lot of DRAM because it's needed so much for AI, and it's interesting, especially the ways that the AI stuff had knock-on effects in the tech industry. And it does make me wonder, because like we hear this stuff about how, oh yeah, it's, prices are going up because of this demand. I don't recall seeing anyone talk about how, yeah, Samsung, Hynix, crap, what's another one that's actually manufactured? Micron. About them being like, yeah, so we're gonna add, like, we're gonna build new factories, have new fabs to try to make more of this. It's like, you think if the demand is genuinely there and is a truly going forward in the future, there's going to be this much more that's wanted, you'd want to make more. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not seeing those announcements. But I guess it is also, as I think about it now, it's a fact. Let's assume, and could be wrong, but let's assume that, they are in fact not doing that. There have been no announcements to that effect. Let's consider what that would mean then. That means that they don't necessarily believe that this is long term, that they don't want to invest in the hardware to manufacture more, which means that they don't believe that in the future that hardware would be paid off by selling stuff, by selling what it produces. Which, if that is true, then that would mean that they either believe that consumers aren't going to want more of these products, or that they don't believe AI is going to survive at this scale. And they are preferring to, yeah, we'll just cut the supply in the one place that we know is going to be there eternally. I mean, it's like people are always going to want computers, so we're always going to want DRAM in them. Yeah, we'll sacrifice that because the business, the data center kind of stuff is going to pay us more. But then once that dries up, then we'll, rebalance the loads. Because, I mean, it's also, something like that when you think about it, with how the Trump administration is pushing to have stuff manufactured here. I mean, that would be, you'd think that some of these companies, like Samsung, because that's a Korean company, South Korean company, it could be a, hey, we want to increase manufacturing capacity here, where are we going to build that factory? If they were like, well, if we build it in America, he's going to be nice to us. It's like, yeah, let's do that then. I mean, so, yeah, I mean, you would think that there would be calculations like that being made. But I don't know. Because as I said, this is with just the assumption that they are not, in fact, trying to increase capacity. But that could just be, I'm not hearing it. Which is very, very possible. I would think I would, because the whole DRAM price is going up. You'd think that somebody would also be mentioning... But no, not that one. That one. Yes. Would also be mentioning that when they complain about DRAM prices going up, but... But, I'm now just thinking, what do I think is going to be the future of AI?
I'm carrying too much.
Okay. Hey, I actually got this all full. I do know what the answer is. I'm just trying to think of how best to put it. I think it will eventually just become a tool that... Okay, so GPUs are capable of doing AI. That doesn't mean that they're the right tool for the job. That doesn't mean that they are... they're capable of it, so is the CPU. But it's like, it's not necessarily the right tool for the job. So, I think that we will reach a point where they will develop... It will start consolidating down what the most successful algorithms are. either because of like CUDA dominance kind of nonsense where it's not real. It's not necessarily that that is the best solution, it's just what has become dominant. You'll see that, and also ones where it's like, no, this is legitimately the best way to do it. But that it will consolidate down enough
Funny.
that we will eventually see all three, and potentially some new ones. So Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, maybe some new ones like Qualcomm, Broadcom, ARM technically, but ARM isn't really a manufacturer. That will come up with an accelerator card, kind of thing, an accelerator add-in that isn't that can be more than just a, hey, we bolted in some additional compute things that just happen to be able to do this stuff well. But an actual dedicated accelerator, like a graphics card, that has that kind of neural, I don't really want to call it that, but has that kind of hardware in there to support it, to have the ASIC application-specific integrated circuit, but also dedicated resources such as its own memory, maybe even its own storage. I think we will eventually see something like that. If it is, well, yes, we will eventually see that. We'll still have GPUs and such being able to do it. But when it's like a, hey, whatever the job is that you want to have dedicated hardware for this, that dedicated hardware will exist. That's what I'm predicting. And that when that happens, when we achieve that point where the technology has stabilized to that point, that is when you will see it. One thing, drop the name AI. You'll cease to have that, and I've seen some mention with like AMD, because they are using, they're putting out a new SDK for the Fidelity FX stuff, and you're talking up the different Fidelity FX Redstone things. So yeah, but they're now referring to it as AI. The feature name is AI. They're using ML, machine learning, which I will also say I have long believed is a better term for it. But it's like when we reach that point, but it's like we will drop the name AI because AI brings with it certain connotations that none of the current stuff actually lives up to. Okay, it's what we have now. It is basically just statistical models seeing that, hey, this B often follows A. Therefore, if I determine that A is part of the answer, B should always follow it when asked questions. That's what's working there. It's not, Data. It's not C3PO. It's not Terminators. It's none of that we're working on here. So we'll see AI as a name drop because it's just irrelevant. It isn't accurate. They'll use another term, maybe machine learning, maybe something else. So then the next big thing can be that. But that will be the point when it is sufficiently broad as far as access that will there still be data centers and such using it? Yes, but a lot of things will have been made so efficient that even in professional settings, you would still have it be either using the accelerator cards that are installed into the workstation, or your company has its own on-site server that has larger accelerator cards or more of them that work together. That would be my predict. That I think is what'll likely end up happening, and that by that point, it'll just be a tool. Those that need it will use it. If you need it rarely, well, the stuff built into your CPU or GPU will work. If you need it more regularly, you want the accelerator card. It'll be stuff like that. But before then is when it'll be around that time, though, because the accelerator card I think is what would upset the market, kind of thing. That's what would be the market disruption. But that at that point, the desire for like, oh, we need all this RAM in order to do anything with, in order to do this. It's like that will have evaporated. Power utilization will likely also have come down. So you won't see, well, you won't see new data centers being built, but it's like, yeah, we are also going to reactivate the nuclear power plant next door because we need that much power. I'll take that. I think that's a... Oh, yeah. I'm not losing any knowledge, so there's that. And I do think having more armor is a good thing. Yeah, and I got time. I can do this now. Yeah, that I think is how it'll end up working out. There. I was putting points into things. I just... Okay. I mean, I won't... Yeah, okay. We'll do that, because spell damage and projectile damage will both be nice to get on him. Okay. But, yeah, so while you may not see new data centers built next door to power plants, they will already exist and will just continue. Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that a lot of people are forgetting about, is how much power these things take. And that's not a joke. I think it's Microsoft is wanting to put a data center next to a power plant, a nuclear power plant that I don't think it's actually been shut down. I don't quite remember. What did I do? No. I like the cooldown rate, I do, but it's just... I'll try to keep that, though. I'll just, like, put it in a box so a different character can use it. Hang on. Sorry, I needed to quickly mute the mic. I felt a cough coming on. Yeah, I think it's Microsoft that's doing that. And yeah, as I was saying, I don't think that the power plant, and it is a nuclear power plant, I don't think it was, it's actually been shut down. But it was, like, scheduled to, and they're like, hey, we'll use it. But, yeah, it's... People don't realize how much power those things are actually draining, actually taking out of the grid. So it's one of those funny things that you have people pushing that, no, we need to shut down the reliable power sources. And it's like, oh, aren't these data centers wonderful? Why don't we put them in, you know, the rural areas that don't have... It's like, this will be what, you know, get people working there. It's like, well, you know, it'll be people brought in. It's not necessarily people will be... You'll be... It's not necessarily you'll be hiring the people right there. Let's do that, but also because it is now pulling so much power, you're going to see power prices increase for everyone there. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, there's actually very little good about what's going on with this. And people are like, oh, won't this benefit the area? It's like, nah, not really. But no, that is an actual thing I've seen people talk about, where it's like, yeah, they're talking about, we'll put them in rural areas because there's the space, and it's like, oh, people will be high. No, they won't. No, they won't, because it's kind of like, was it, whatever that, car plant was it Hyundai? I don't remember. It's a South Korean manufacturer, though, where it's like, yeah, they just brought in a bunch of South Koreans to work there, even though the plant was in Georgia. They weren't hiring local, they would just bring in their own people. And it's like, even for an American company, you'd still see that here. And it's like, you know, why would we, it's like if you're putting it in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, which I'm not sure if that's I would not be surprised if there is an actual town that has a sense of humor to have named itself Middle of Nowhere. For those of you that maybe aren't in the Midwest, we do have that sense of humor. Like, we would do that, and we'd be fine with it. But there could be, you know, the coastal elite type people. They're like, oh, we'll put it there because it'll help them and all that. Well, yeah, you do that, but then you're actually going to just incentivize everyone that already works at the companies in San Francisco, in the middle of Austin, Texas, in, New York and such, and you'll just have them move there. So it's like you're not actually. I mean, maybe some of the construction work will be local, but maybe not. But it's also the whole, yeah, it's gonna put pressure on the area for power. It'll put pressure, so those prices will go up. It'll also put pressure for water because they need water for cooling. Pressure for housing, which in a way that'll actually even be worse because now you have a whole bunch of people going in there where it's like, yeah, they're gonna be making like $100,000 a year, whereas the median income there might be more like 60, 70,000, but they can, because they're gonna have so much more money and they can pay so much more for housing. Now it's, well, the people that live there and want to like the people that grew up there and want to raise their families there are now, well, I don't make enough money for this, so they can't stay there. I mean, yeah. I mean, also to be fair though, this would happen with any emergent thing where it's just it's popular, so there's huge focus there and it's disruptive. But it's more so the thing that's annoying is people that are like, oh, isn't this such a wonderful idea because it'll benefit this place? It's like, not necessarily. So, yeah, I mean, it's almost a, look, just stop pretending that you know what's best for an area. Just say, hey, we want to do it here. These are our advantages to doing it here. And then and then when people say, no, we don't want it here for this reason, actually pay attention and then maybe don't. Well, maybe still do. I mean, it's up to you, but it's like, it's the pretentiousness that gets annoying.
No room.
Yeah, that one. Oh. Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's check down there. I'm not sure if I've encountered this yet. Huntsman's Barb. It's a spear. Oh, okay. Someone's have a 10% increased all speed. So that would be for the Forge. For the Forge Mastery. Okay. So definitely want to hang on to that. Although, what are the requirements? 197. That's it. It doesn't look like there's a level requirement on it. But okay. That's neat. Oh. You know, the funny thing is, as I talk about that, because I've got one story idea. I actually wrote it a while ago.
Have you ever dabbled in
First book I self-published, and I want to rewrite it, actually. But there were aspects of doing that exact thing, having a large tech company decide, we're gonna put down a facility, a lab, actually, in kind of middle nowhere. It's like, now I feel like I need to stop and think about that. That's actually nice, but I'm not going to do it because I kind of prefer not to spend money in these games when it's like, yeah, I'm probably just going to find a drop that's as good or better for free. So alright, here. And then this.
One at a time, please. One at a time.
But yeah, now I'm just, how would I? I'm not sure how I can square that circle. Or maybe just let it be a... Nope. It happens anyway. Well, okay, no, that's true. That's true. I just remembered that. At least that much of it. Because part of that story idea also involved that the company is so powerful, so wealthy, it actually would, like, it's not going to be oh yeah, we put down this lab that needs all this power, so we're going to be increasing power prices around us. It's like, no, we're going to build a power plant here as well. So I guess there is that, true. And that is actually in there. So it is a, like, no, this is our spot, the place that we've chosen to do this, but don't worry, what we need we're also bringing with us. It's the space we need. So I guess I can go with that. I'm also just trying to think, what... I'm sure I've gone through something like this similar. With the whole, like, just in my lifetime, another kind of emergent technology. I'm just trying to remember what it is. I mean, in a way, there's HD. Where it's like everything was being labeled HD, not because it actually was HD, but because you do that and it adds so many points to your stock value. And AI is kind of being like that, too. Yeah, in a way it is that, because it is also something where the majority of people, you don't fully need that. Because, I mean, let me tell you. One thing, having gone through so many Blu-rays and DVDs, and don't get me wrong, I still, if I can, I prefer to buy the Blu-ray to the DVD. But it's not just because, oh, then it's a 1080. A good-looking DVD is a good-looking DVD. It looks good regardless. DVD or Blu-ray, doesn't matter. It'll still look good. And there are some bad-looking Blu-rays out there, such that, yes, a good-looking DVD would look better, despite it being HD versus SD. The main thing that's nice about Blu-ray, there's part of the reason why I would always prefer to purchase a Blu-ray over DVD, is that I can reasonably expect at least the main feature, not always secondary features, but at least the main feature will be progressive instead of interlaced, and that has such an impact on the quality. DVDs can also be progressive, they're just not always. That is a bit more variable. It's far less likely with the Blu-ray. There's also, and it's less a thing, is that this is something I believe a lot of people don't realize. Everything is filmed at 24 FPS. Okay, that is the actual film frame rate. But televisions, from the beginning, have been 30 FPS. Well, 30, and then when we got to color, it went to 29.97. At least for in America. In the UK and such, it's 25. That's the PAL standard, we're NTSC. DVDs are 30. There is technically a DVD 24 standard, but with that, it's still encoded 30. It just, the DVD player knows how to drop the frames and also potentially retime them. So it'll be the native 20, it recreates the 24 FPS of the original, of what the original film would have been. Blu-ray, no, it's all 24, basically. With rare exception. So it is like I've been going through the Twilight Zone, processing that onto my server, because I did buy the Blu-rays recently. And that was on film. So all but 5 or 6 episodes are at 24 frames per second and 1080. There were the 5 or 6 Twilight Zones, though, that were actually done video instead of film. This was to save money. And video meaning like actually onto tape instead of onto film. The visual quality is definitely different, and they're also interlaced because, well, there's no real choice there. Video was interlaced. But if you, I'm just trying to think, what's a good way to explain why video looks different, or how it looks different? But I can't really think of a good example other than just, if you see it, you know, if you've seen it, you know what I mean. but it's, I want to say it's like, there was some, I remember seeing years and years ago, just seeing a little bit, like flipping through channels. I think it was Dark Shadows, which was a soap opera, a vampire soap opera. Don't ask me, I don't know, but it was, and many soap operas likely would have been on video because it was cheaper. These were things they were doing it every day. Okay, there's hundreds to thousands of episodes on soap operas. It's ridiculous. But hey, I mean, they made it money, so good for them. But it was video, and it does have a very different look to it. It's 1080i, which might mean that they upscaled the original video, but it's also at 30. So it might, I don't know if that is the video worked at 30. Maybe it did. I can believe it still worked at 24, but because of just how it would be edited, how it would be processed to ultimately go to television, they would just convert it to 30, and they don't have a means really of going back and preserve everything correctly. I'm not sure. Now that also makes me wonder about Star Trek, because one of the reasons why you have not seen, like, TNG came to Blu-ray. That required a full remaster, though, because it was filmed, right? But the visual effects were not done. Well, maybe they. No, the visual effects had to be completely redone because those had to be done rotoscoping, and they did that to film. To video. But the underlying action was on film, and so it was basically. You would take the film, scan it into a computer, you would then do this stuff on the computer, and have it leave the computer going to video instead of to film, okay? So in order to have appropriately 1080, the effects were mastered at 480. So in order to get the appropriate, have it line up with the 1080 film, they had to recreate every visual effect. Deep Space Nine is the same kind of deal, where it was filmed on film, and not only that, it was even filmed widescreen aware. That was, if you watch the special What We Leave Behind, they'd mentioned that. So what that means is... Okay. Hang on, let me just get this stuff taken care of. Okay. So this is a 16:9 image, right? When they were filming, the viewer that they would look through so the cinematographer knows where they're looking at is actually, it might also be 16:9. I don't remember. It might be a little bit larger, but they have a box that's like drawn here. That would be a 16:9 box to let you know, hey, everything in that we're filming. They would also have a smaller box in the center. That's 4:3. So it's like everything in this is, when you cut it down to 4:3, it's that. They filmed, though, so that the extra on the left and right, the pillar boxes to the 4:3, so that's actually okay there. Okay, so in theory, if they go back to the film, they could actually, it wouldn't be what was originally aired, but they could make Deep Space Nine 16:9. And they could do that, it would be perfectly fine. It's different when the people saw, but it was still filmed for that. It just was never shown that way. The problem is that all the effects, and Deep Space Nine used a lot of visual effects. All of them were mastered at 480. Were mastered SD. So they would need to recreate all of them. Now, I'll be honest. I think that if they put out a call to the fans saying, hey, we need help with this, I think that there would be fans that are like, okay, here are the files. Files for what? I remade them already. It's like, okay, well, we really need them for the Dominion War. It's like, yes, that's this folder. It's like, there were people that will probably have already done that, and might even be I'm not looking for you to pay me. Just like, if you give me the credit and give me a copy of the Blu-rays, I'm happy. It's like, there will be some fans that's like, that's all I need. But it's like, yeah, there's stuff like that. And I'm just now trying to remember. How the hell did I get to this topic? Oh, I didn't even do that. I was talking about HD. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. The difference between Blu-ray and such. Now, it's also, because talking about that, Babylon 5 came out, and I've not seen the show. I do want to watch it. I do want to. I just haven't yet. Babylon 5 was also a 90s sci-fi show, like Deep Space Nine. I think that, yeah. It came to Blu-ray a year or two ago, and they decided for that. They decided for that, you know what, we're not going to worry about the special effects. We will upscale those. The film will just scan in at HD or whatever it is they scanned in. You got options. HD, okay, HD is 1280 by 720. That's the actual definition for the acronym of HD. High definition. FHD, full high definition, that's the 1920 by 1080. That's also known as 2K because there's approximately 2,000 lines, 1920. Then you've got 4K, which is UHD, but then there's also 8K, which is also labeled UHD. It all gets nonsense. Yeah, sorry, it just does. When scanning stuff in, they might decide to scan in at 2K, because like that's all we need. Or they might decide we'll scan in 4K, do a full remaster and all that. And also, you know, like maybe in the future, we will decide, hey, we're going to put out 4Ks of this. I don't know. I honestly do not know why people are doing that for television, but whatever. And there are some. Knight Rider, which was 80s sci-fi. That actually... there was a 4K set of that. I think they might have also brought, like... Oh, crap. What was it? It was one of the, like, 90s sitcoms. I can't remember what it was. That also has been brought to 4K, and it's like, I don't know why, but... I mean, hey, if they think they'll make their money doing that, go for it. I got no issue with that. I don't need to buy it. But yeah, so they can scan in at that, and then they just, you know, hey, the rest of the stuff we'll just upscale it, move on. Which if you want, I mean, hey, like I was saying, it being natively progressive, it being at 24 FPS, it's also the native progression, being progressive. That's awesome. That's... I would be very happy about that. And I have technically... So I have a DVD set of Stargate SG-1. And I also wanted Atlantis, and I saw at one point, you know, the price for the Atlantis Blu-rays. Well, the price for a complete Blu-ray set of Stargate. So Stargate, SG-1, Atlantis, and Universe. Don't care much for Universe. But I saw that, and the price was fair. So I said, you know, I'll get that. So I technically have both DVDs and Blu-rays of SG-1. And part of the reason why I like that is because... And let me be clear, the SG-1 DVDs are among those that they look good. The Blu-rays also ones that don't... I heard somebody say they were upscaled. I'm not sure if that's completely true, but certainly they were not remastered for the Blu-rays. They were not that great, but they are progressive, and having to deal with interlacing on the DVDs, it's like, yes, I was seeing it make the image quality worse trying to de-interlace that. So, like, to me, that was definitely worth it. But it's still, I mean, just getting that progressive, it's like, yeah, it was worth it to me. It's like, cool, let's keep doing that for this stuff. I'm okay with the idea, like, if they want to bring Deep Space Nine to Blu-ray and they just do the Babylon 5 thing, it's like, sure, let's do it. I'll probably buy it. It would also be nice, though, if it were and you know, we'll let it be 16 by 9. I am not a purist in that it has to match what I originally saw. I am a purist in that it has to be the original thing. Like, if they started re-editing episodes, okay, now I'd be annoyed. But if it's just we did film it this way so that it can be 16 by 9. We're not reframing it. This was always there. We just never showed it before because the dominant format was 4 by 3. I'm okay with that. Versus, Battlestar Galactica, the original, not the thing from the early 2000s. Not that show, but the original. There's actually the best Blu-ray version of that includes both the original, which was 4:3, because it was filmed 4:3, and also a version where they did... It is technically still a pan and scan, where they cut down... They cut it down vertically, so it would be 16:9. But it's like, you are in fact now removing things from the image that were supposed to be there. That I have a problem with. But revealing things that, yes, you've not seen before, but they've always technically been there. They were part of the original frame that we just never saw. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I see no problem with that. But I do get there are some purists that, nope, it has to be the exact original thing that they saw. And it also reminds me, I at least have one thing, because I have True Lies on Blu-ray. James Cameron has gotten in some trouble with some people for some of the work on his older films. But yeah, True Lies, Aliens is the big one that people were talking about. And The Terminator and The Abyss. Don't remember what others. Because what he was doing for the 4Ks was he was not just having it scanned in, he was also doing additional processing that it sounded like, at least for Aliens, this included... It may have included doing some upscaling, but it did also include, like, removing the film grain. But he put it back in, just, it was different. And seeing a little bit of the history to this, when he was given the green light to make Aliens, he was like, okay, this is the film stock I want to use. And the studio was like, no, we're not buying that for you, use this stuff. Which meant that the grain was different than what he wanted. Well, he decided, hey, we have technology. I can remove the grain here with like an image reconstruction thing so that it's gone. But the image is still accurate to what he wants it to be. And then he just added the grain that he wanted there. So it's like, no, this is how I actually wanted it to look originally. It's like, I understand that. I'm not sure how much I can complain about that. I do definitely understand people where it's like, no, this is not how I saw it. I get that. But this is not a substantive change. This is a trying to realize the original vision. And it's like, I can't fault that. I understand the disagreements. I understand people being upset with it. I do. And I guess my response would just be, because there are versions of Aliens on Blu-ray that are the original, without any of that work being done on it. It's like, those should stay in print then. It's like, let that option remain for people. But I would not be able to say that, you know what? Yeah, he shouldn't have, I can't say that he shouldn't have done that. That I understand it. I understand it well enough that I can't fault it. I can choose against it, but I can't fault it. Yeah. Now, if he was going too far with removing the grain, okay, yeah. Because, and this is something that I can believe some people today don't understand. They've done studies, I'm not sure how long ago, though. We do expect film grain in films. We do expect that little bit of noise there. It doesn't have to be heavy, but we do expect it there. And when it's not there, the image, we do think that the image looks worse. So this is also part of the thing, going back to the video stuff. It is how video looks different from film. That is also kind of sort of part of it. Not that it, well, nothing really lacks film. Well, no, I guess it would lack grain. But video can look kind of plastic, can make people look kind of plastic in it. Alright, I'm going to try to kill the guy in here once. I'm first going to warp back and sell stuff, but yeah. And then I'll be done. But yeah, no, we do expect it there, so it is supposed to be there. It is part of what we expect for... I guess the way to put it is, if you look at a painting, you do expect to see brush strokes. The film grain is kind of the brush stroke, so when it's absent, we are like, wait, this doesn't look right. And it's also why, even like fully animated movies, they still add film grain into that. Even though yes, originally, like with Toy Story, that had to be laser scanned out onto film, which means that because it's part of the medium, you would get the film grain. That they did have to do that. No. And yeah, okay. But today, because it's all just digital, to the to theaters, to streaming, to discs, it's all digital, which doesn't need to have film grain in there, and you don't have the photon noise. Oh, I forgot to do that. Because even digital sensors do have noise to them. They're not perfect. Every cell in a sensor is not identical to the others, so you do get some noise there, which is analogous to film grain. Like even with that, it's still it is part of the medium. But with fully animated, doesn't need to be there. So they add it in because it is expected. There's even something, I don't remember exactly what it was. It was like a YouTube video talking about it. What the heck? But he was looking at The Lord of the Rings and was talking about how they added grain in on that. Even though that was filmed on film, it was still like you will when you're doing the compositing and such. The actual, which is part of editing, making sure all the coloring is right, adjusting contrast if necessary, things like that. Maybe adding some effects in at that time. Even at that stage, they would add in the film grain. Well, that is the stage during film production you would be adding it in. So it's like, even though, yeah, already in the medium, you would still potentially add more. That was not easy. Alright. Yeah, but it does also get weird because what about video games? Some video games, you can turn it on. It is an option. I don't think this has it at all. But it is also funny because it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's a video game, though. We're kind of used to not having it there. And I guess maybe because they are sufficiently... Oh, wow, you actually do see it hanging there. They have a base level 150 on the barrier. And in theory, that just sits there indefinitely. Huh. Where does it say it anyway, though? Okay. It doesn't say it anyway. That's annoying. Oh, wait. No. Here. Maybe. No, it's not. Because it does describe in the barrier stuff that there is supposed to be a, base level that you just always have. But once you activate it, it decays down to a certain point and then stops. But I'm not... Is 150 that, or is it... Did it take some damage and it got to there? I don't know. I don't think I want any of these. Maybe this? Nope. Not quite. But still, that's... Let me... Well, yeah, we'll do that. There. Oh, wait, that's actually true. This isn't right. It's not sorted correct. Seriously? Wow. Okay. That's all I have is at spots like that. Wow. Okay. But yeah, I personally do turn off film grain, but that's it when I'm in a video game. But that's not for me. It's because so often the games I'm playing, I'm recording, and film grain, because it is noise, the way all compression works is to find patterns and then try to store that pattern in a more efficient way. Film grain by its nature is noise. It's not a pattern, which makes encoding it difficult. Technically, you do have things like film grain synthesis, which is kind of a cheat.
Need something stored?
Where it's in that it generates the pattern at playback just based on certain stats that tell it, hey, generate this way. But it is also, I've seen this, that you can see that it is a repeating pattern. Yeah, I mean, it's like AV2, hopefully they will come up with better film grain synthesis stuff. Because it is a neat concept. It's not that well implemented in my opinion. You can do things. Yeah, I'll turn it off for that. But I mean, if I were just playing a game normally, like Satisfactory, I that's one of the games I will play when it's just I want some. I mean, it's not mindless time, but just some entertainment. I'll play that. That I don't think has the option, but I don't record that. So it's like if it is an option, it's like yeah, that can be on. It doesn't. I'm happy with it being there. It's just it'll make recording more difficult. Chromatic aberration, though, that I turn off. I don't believe that should be in a video game. I mean, I can understand for specific, like, cinematic scenes, it being there, that I'm okay with, but why is this taking so long? Did the game crash? I'm still playing audio, but anyway. Visually, I don't think chromatic aberration should be there for just, like, normal gameplay. If it's in a cinematic, that's a cinematic, that's fine. But also motion blur. I hate motion blur in video games. I can't even remember what it is. I think I've seen one game where the motion blur was actually appropriate in my mind. Because so often, motion blur in video games, it is thoroughly unrealistic to me. Because I get that, we have persistence of vision. So technically our own vision has motion blur. The problem is that my eye moves faster than the motion blur in most games. Such that when my vision jumps somewhere else, I don't see the motion blur going as long as they put it in video games. So it's completely unnatural. That's why I always turned off. I hate it. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, stop the recording and take care of the game then. But, yeah. Oh, hey, finally got to this. No, actually, hang on, I do want to quickly look at something. No. Oh, it was a spear. That's right. Yeah, this. That always strikes true, enchanted by Artemis as a gift to Orion. Huh. That seems odd. I mean, it had something, an affix or whatever on there that benefits Forge, which is Hephaestus, but we're getting Artemis and Orion mentioned here. A god and a human. I mean, just something like having it be Hephaestus forged it, that would have made sense, but no. Definitely some of these haven't had it. Like, I'm pretty sure prior to this most recent content update, actually, that these two were not here that I had. There was just this one and this one. Anyway. Yes, I'll stop this and see you next time. Maybe work on Forge then, I'm not sure. Maybe not. I honestly would like to keep going and try to build up a complete relic or a complete charm. I will say this concerning that. This is ridiculous. I've put in 2 hours and only found 3 of them thus far. Because 1 hour in the previous video, 1 hour in this one, and only 3. That's a very, very low drop rate. Much lower than I think the original game had. Yeah. What they should do, and maybe it is what they're doing, I'm just not seeing it, is it should be level dependent. I'd be fine with that, where at higher levels you expect more to drop. Because that's the point where they would be more useful. It's also the challenge is greater, so you should be getting greater rewards. But it's also, like, at the start, at lower levels, it doesn't make sense to give a bunch of relics, because why bother enhancing trash gear? I mean, yeah, it is helpful, but you don't want somebody enhancing trash gear and staying on trash gear then. You want them to get good gear, find that, yes, this is what I want to stick with, and then, okay, you can enhance it instead of having to always find the next best gear for you. So, because that can take much longer once you actually have good gear. So they serve as a way to improve your stats before you find that, oh yes, this is the thing I want in my build. So yeah. And I could see being that I'm at only level 36s, maybe it's at this point they're not dropping it high enough. They're not yet dropping fast, but once I get up to 40, 45, I don't remember if the top level is 50. I can find out. No, 45 is the maximum, because these are maxed level, both of them. So yeah, at 45, it should, it would be like, no, we need to drop it more there. You drop them more there. So yeah, but I don't know. We may also see an update or something come up where it's like, yeah, we've heard you. We've cranked those numbers up. That does happen. All right. Enough of my blathering. See you next time.